The following is a paid program brought to you by My Philly Lawyer. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the station and its management.
Good morning. Court Radio is now in session. Call 215-227-2727. When you've got legal questions, we've got the answers. This is Court Radio. And now here's your host, Dean Weitzman.
Good morning and welcome to Court Radio. It's Dean Weitzman and it's Sunday, April the 17th. It's gorgeous outside, folks. Wonderful, wonderful spring day in Philadelphia. But right now, from 7 to 8, you've got me and you've got Court Radio. If you've got legal questions, we probably have the answer. All you got to do is give us a call at 215-227-2727. That gets you into the studio where you'll be patched in and have an opportunity to have your question answered. Bada boom. That's it. That's all you got to do. 215-227-2727. That gets you into the studio. Your legal question, it will be the topic of today's conversation. So, what's going on in Philly these days? Well, first of all, Phillies were doing really well until Washington came to town. They have had their way with us, 9-1 and 8-1. It's been an embarrassment of riches for the Nationals. But there's always today's game, so let's hope things turn around. What else is going on? Hey, Ed Snyder passed away, the previous owner of the Philadelphia Flyers, 83 years old. He co-founded the Flyers, and he recently, on April the 11th, he passed away. Our condolences go to Ed's family and children. Philadelphia got an interesting grant, $3.5 million to let people out of jail. This is something that is near and dear to my heart. I think this is the future. You know, too many people are in prison. Philadelphia has the distinction of having the most of its population imprisoned. That's a great distinction, like us in some third world country, you know. So it's time to let the people go, and there are many people who are in there for no other reason other than the fact that they're probably addicts. And they got caught up in something in the attempt to acquire drugs or use drugs. And I mean, I'm not advocating the release of bad people who are violent offenders. But there are a lot of people in prison who don't fit that category, who really need an opportunity to become rehabilitated. And so this $3.5 million is a start in that direction. And Philadelphia, having had the largest prison population in 191 cities or applicants, was the winner. So that's pretty impressive. Almost 200 applications for this grant, and Philadelphia wins it because we had more people in prison than anybody else, and they thought that the money would do more good here than it would anywhere else. 215-227-2727. You know the drill. If you've got legal questions, shoot them at me. But if you want to comment on one of the legal topics we're talking about, you're welcome to do that as well. So let's jump in here and introduce you to our hot button topic guest for the day. It is the one and only Derek Green. Good morning, Derek.
Good morning, Dean, and good morning to all your listeners here at 100.3.
If you don't know it, I'll tell you that Derek is recently elected as councilman at large of Philadelphia. And with the most votes anybody's ever gotten who's run for that position in the primary. Is that an accurate statement?
Well, the most in the May primary of 2015, but there have been other candidates who've gotten more votes than I.
Okay.
See, I want to correct the record. As a fellow attorney, got to correct the record.
All right. So you had the most votes last year, and you went on to win the election in November. You've had, not even a whole year in office yet. What's it been like?
What's it been? 100 days.
What's it been?
It's been a very good opportunity to really represent the citizens of the city of Philadelphia. I have had a chance of working city council in the past, working for former Councilman Marion Tasco. So I really tried to get out and go out throughout the entire community, being in Kingsessing, Northeast, my community in Mount Airy, Germantown, all over the city, and really get the pulse of the people. I often on Fridays or Mondays, I may be in the senior center, or I may be at a school or a community development corporation, and really try to get a flavor of the city and listen to the people and the issues that they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
Now, Councilman at Large, you represent the entire city?
Correct.
So it's like you're running for mayor almost.
At times it feels that way. I was just in the Northeast last night at an event, and on Friday I was all over the city. So that's something I do on a regular basis.
What do you do back in council chambers? Like, if somebody doesn't know, what is your job besides going out and kind of feeling the pulse of the city and talking to people and finding out what's important to them? What do you do with that information?
Well, often right now we're going through the budget process. So, as you know, Mayor Kenny introduced a proposal in reference to the soda tax. And so one of the things I've been doing is gathering information from all the different community perspectives and finding out what are people's feelings regarding the soda tax. As we go through the budget process, I often meet with various groups and individuals, and they may have questions for the Revenue Department or the Streets Department or the Police Department or District Attorney's Office. And based on those conversations with people all across the city, we use that information when various department heads come to City Council to testify on their budget.
Got it. So budget is a big part of what you do, and also enacting legislation.
Right, as well as constituent services. Often when we're talking and interacting with various people around the city, people raise issues in reference to a concern they have with maybe the Streets Department.
Yeah,
or
dude,
L&I,
listen, I just hit a pothole coming down 95 that could have taken my car out. I mean, so that's the kind of stuff.
Right. And so issues like that, for example, when you talk about potholes, often in the early part of the year, maybe in March or April, we're filling in a lot of these potholes. And so the Streets Department may be coming to us during the budget season saying, listen, we need additional machines or equipment to fill potholes or other issues. And so we take all this information from the department testimonies as well as people in the community and really try to make an informed decision how we spend our dollars every year.
Got it. Folks, if you've got questions for Derek Green, you can give us a call, or legal questions, 215-227-2727. Derek's on here, though, not just to talk about what it's like to be a councilman, but you're here for a specific reason, and that reason has to do with something that's probably closer to you than it is to others, autism.
Correct.
First of all, tell me a little bit about, let me just say that when I kind of was growing up, autism, you never heard of it. I mean, it wasn't until fairly recently in the spectrum of life that autism started to take center stage. Was it just undiagnosed, or is there been an increase in the diagnoses of autism?
Well, I think it's a combination of two things. There definitely has been an increase in the diagnosis of autism, but also some situations have been people who have been on the autism spectrum where were not diagnosed. I think about friends of the family, other people I know, even talking with my wife, where she saw there's certain people that she may have known that were undiagnosed with autism. However, the increase in autism has been dramatic. My son was diagnosed with autism. He was born in 2001. He was diagnosed about 2004. At that time, 1 out of every 200 children were diagnosed on the autism spectrum. Now it's 1 out of every 68. So
that's crazy.
Increase.
Okay, tell me about the first few years with your son. What's his name?
Julian.
Okay, so between the time Julian was born until he was diagnosed, what were some of the things that you noticed that gave you pause to think, there may be a problem here?
Well, autism is a broad spectrum, so there's no one specific thing that's indicated for autism. For example, Julian at a young age always made eye contact, where, at that time they were saying that if a child's not making eye contact, is not really trying to communicate, that could be an early indication of autism. However, Julian was, talking at a young age and trying to babble a little bit, as little toddlers do. And it wasn't until he got into daycare at Child Space in Mount Airy where the daycare provider said, I'm seeing some other things in reference to how he's interacting with other children to say to us that, maybe you should check to see if he may be on the autism spectrum. And at that point, we were able to get a developmental pediatrician and assessment to see that if Julian really is on the spectrum. But it's a wide perspective, so there's no one specific indicator that can say your child's autistic or not. It's really a complex spectrum of perspectives on whether someone may be autistic.
I get it, but tell us so that people kind of get a feel for this. What are some of Julian's issues that led you to believe he was on that scale? You said that the teacher said the way he interacts with other kids. How is that? What was that way?
Some of the things in reference to autism, people on the autism spectrum generally have some challenges in reference to social engagement and social skills, sometimes repetitive behaviors, and also communication differences in other people. So things that Julian would do is like he would always want to line things up in a certain way, like blocks or numbers, and he would get very frustrated if someone would change that or if he wasn't able to put something in a specific order. So those are some of the things that we started to identify. Also in reference to some of his communication and how he would speak, we also started to receive those ideas and saw those things as possibility of him being on the autism spectrum.
Okay, so how long did the diagnosis take? How long did the assessment take?
Well, that's one of the challenges. Although we're blessed in the city of Philadelphia probably being one of the top 10 cities for people on the autism spectrum, and even with all the resources here in the city of Philadelphia, it still took us a period of time for us to get a developmental pediatrician. Generally, the wait can be anywhere from 2 to 3 years.
What?
Right.
2 to 3 years just to go in and see somebody?
Well, there's only a small number of developmental pediatricians in the city of Philadelphia, and we're blessed when you have the University of Pennsylvania and also CHOP and St. Christopher's, where we have more developmental pediatricians here in the Philadelphia region than other parts of the country. But even with that increase in number of those type of pediatricians, it's still a delay because of the demand of children on the autism spectrum.
Wow. That's incredible. So you finally get in, you get assessed, he's diagnosed. How does that affect him at that point? What benefits does he get by having that diagnosis?
Well, the benefit of having that early diagnosis, because the longer you delay to get a diagnosis, the more that may impact your child going forward. So we were able to, once we got that diagnosis, really trying to get into various programs, identify the type of resources he may need, from a speech therapy, occupational therapy, and really trying to start to learn how can we as parents start to provide him the resources that he may need.
Can you affect through this early intervention, can you affect his abilities? Can you increase his communication abilities, his interactivity? Can you make him, for lack of a better way, more normal?
Well, you can definitely help your child in reference to helping them develop their communication skills. There's very different type of systems like PEC systems, which is a system which uses actual cue cards and visual cards to help them learn. And also you start to develop other better communication strategies for your child. But the key of early intervention is why it's so important, because each time you delay, each week or month you delay, that's less interaction you're having with your child and learning what will help and benefit him or her so they can have more of an unusual life.
Will your son and others like him go on to go into school, into public school?
Well, my son actually is at public school. When he was initially diagnosed on the autism spectrum, we had him in a mixed environment between both an autistic support classroom and also traditional kindergarten. And when it was time for him to go into public school, we looked at our local public school, Houston Elementary School in Mount Airy. And so he was able to go in kindergarten, and that worked well. But it was time for him to transition to first grade, became more of a challenge. And so working with the principal, teachers, people in the community, we were able to create an autism support classroom at Houston Elementary School. And now they have 3 autism support classrooms in Houston. They're actually going to go to a 4th one in the fall, and that's been a great environment for Julian.
Do kids come to Houston from all over the city to get into these autism classes, or are they all local?
Houston it's a local neighborhood school. And
so they need 4 classrooms just for the kids who are in the catchment area of that school?
Yes, we had 4, because the class of Julian's class is probably about 8 students. And so we were able to create that, that type of program at Houston. But the principals have been very outgoing. Now, there's been other schools in the school district where they may not have the same level of support as some of the challenges we're having with funding at the state level. But Houston has been a great environment for Julian, and it's been great for us working with him at that school.
Folks, we're talking to Councilman at Large Derek Green. We're talking about some of his trials and tribulations in trying to work his way through a diagnosis of autism for his son. But we're going to circle back around to an insurance act that he's been instrumental in getting passed in City Council. But before we do that, I'm going to take a call from a listener. Let's talk to Lee from, I can't read, Hatboro, from Hatboro, New Jersey. How are you, Lee? Welcome to Court Radio.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
I'm blessed. I'm up. I'm awake.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
Okay. I got 2 autistic children, too. And that broad spectrum it's unrealistic because, okay, my kids was in the Philadelphia public school system until I moved down here to South Jersey, and they were really struggling down there, you know what I mean? And they're on a very light scale, almost like Asperger's, if you know what I mean. And we out here, actually, my kids go to school in Waterford Township now, and my daughter still has a little slight social issues, but it's as though they don't even have it anymore.
They don't have. Your kids have kind of worked themselves through these issues because you feel like they're getting better care where they're in school now.
They definitely are. They're socializing. My daughter, who they thought she would never even talk, she is a straight A student. She's on the principal's list every year. She's fantastic.
Okay.
She's very smart.
Well,
you know what I mean?
That's good. That's good, I guess. So the question is, how does a world-class city like Philadelphia not have the same resources and the same kind of environment that you've found in some cowpoke town in South Jersey?
Right. It's very, very sad. You would think in a city like Philadelphia, it's big, but the resources are just not going to education.
All right, let's let the councilman jump in here, Lee.
Well, your experience is something that I've also heard. I've heard horror stories of parents in the school district where their child was moved from one school to another school without a lot of notice. I know from my personal experience, we've had a great experience at Houston Elementary School, but that has been the exception, has not been the norm. I have definitely heard the same issues and for parents in other parts of the city who have had challenges with their child who may be in the autism spectrum. But as the caller mentioned, his child, his daughter, who sounded like she may have Asperger's, and when I say a spectrum, it's a broad range. You have some people who are autistic or have Asperger's, and you may not even notice that they may be on the autism spectrum because it is so unique and so broad as a perspective. Some people have some social interaction. They may be considered quirky versus others who are on the autism spectrum who are nonverbal. So it's a broad range. And some of the things he's talking about are things that I've definitely seen when I've dealt with other parents on the autism spectrum.
I think I might be on the spectrum. Because when I get invitations to go to political events, I run the other way. I can't, I can't tolerate being in those kind of social settings. I'll make the contribution, but I'm not showing up. I'd rather just sit home and, watch some sports or something or ride my motorcycle. So, I joke about it, but if you talk about, I don't know, people probably are wondering, well, my kid's he doesn't play with other kids he's not really a leader, or he's not really participating to the extent that I used to participate. Is he autistic? Is he on that spectrum? And if he is, what good is it to have him diagnosed? If he's pretty normal and he's doing schoolwork, he's just got a little bit of social kind of awkwardness. Is that somebody who should take the time of this developmental pediatrician and deprive you, who might need it more?
Well, I can't speak for that situation because each parent and each child has a different dynamic. And then for what Julian, which is his interaction and his perspective, just some of his social skills in public settings and some of the things that we take for granted as you get older, and some of the behavioral norms of doing certain things were different for children on the autism spectrum. So I can't speak for that situation, whether that person or that child may be on the autism spectrum or not. That's something that each child or each parent needs to decide on their own.
All right, Lee. Thanks for giving us a call, buddy. Have a great Sunday, and I hope things go well for you and both of your kids.
You too. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's talk to Ronnie from Germantown, who has a question for the councilman. Ronnie?
Hello. Good morning.
Hi, Ronnie. How are you?
I'm okay. Two questions.
Well, we're only going to let you ask one, so ask the one that you really want to ask.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to know what the councilman thinks about the foreclosure hearings that are now taking place. I went to one of them a couple of weeks ago, and that was just at the time they were putting up the stopping of the evictions and stuff. I just want to get his perspective on that. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, foreclosure is an issue that's something that's been very important to me. I started my career as a small business lender with Meridian Bank at Broad and Glenwood, and that was a time when we did not have what we call FICO scores and same credit scoring, and that's one of the reasons why I left banking. From there, I had a chance to go to law school, was at Temple Law School, and when I was early in my career, I worked as an attorney with the Office of Housing and Community Development, working with Councilman Tasco on the issue of predatory lending. We were able to pass one of the nation's first anti-predatory lending laws in the country. So foreclosure is something that's really been a concern that I've had over the past number of years. I know Councilman Curtis Jones has been focusing on that, as well as Councilman Sherelle Parker, and I support their efforts because one of the things we've had in the city of Philadelphia, we've often had an ability for people to buy homes at an affordable rate, but because of the increase in value in homes in the city of Philadelphia and some of the other challenges in reference to lending, foreclosures have been rising in the city of Philadelphia. And that's something we continue to need to take a focus on. The city has been blessed by having a number of housing counseling agencies to help people get out of issues with their home and lending concerns, but we need to do more, and that's one of the things why I support that issue. And we'll continue to have conversations like that in City Council.
Does that do it for you, Ronnie, or do you want to kind of jump back in?
Okay, but the question I pose is, what do you think the outcome is going to be on the hearings that are now taking place? I don't want to say too much because I know a little bit more, but I'm just curious about what you think the outcome might be.
Well, I mean, foreclosure is a process involving lenders as well as the homeowner. I think one of the ideas that we'll probably have in that conversation as hearings and really bring some of the lenders together possibly, as well as other advocates who address issues of housing and foreclosure like Community Legal Services and the Sheriff's Office, and really try to have a perspective on what we do regarding foreclosures. Some years ago when we were first addressing predatory lending, we went to then Sheriff John Greed and asked for a mortgage foreclosure moratorium, which we did for a period of time, and he was able to do that working with various lenders and attorneys in that regard. It may be a need to possibly revisit that action that we took some years ago.
See, in 2008, when there was the bubble burst, I thought there was an increase in mortgage foreclosures. And then I thought things were getting better, but you're telling me that it's starting to turn the other way again.
Right, there's definitely an issue in reference to foreclosures, and that's something that we still, in Philadelphia, unlike other cities, it's taken us longer to come out of the recession and some of these issues, and more people are having challenges because of the income disparity in the city of Philadelphia. And the city of Philadelphia has the highest poverty rate of any large city in the country. And when you have issues like that and a city of neighborhoods where a number of people have been able to buy homes, that increases the possibility of foreclosure.
Is there currently any legislation that is pending on the foreclosure, or it's just in the discussion stage right now?
Well, as a caller mentioned, there are going to be hearings regarding foreclosures. We'll be having that conversation and looking at what we've done in the past, both when Councilman Tasco was in office, when we did the anti-predatory lending legislation, and also that came out of issues from the early 80s where you had issues in Pittsburgh regarding people in the coal industry where they actually did a moratorium on foreclosures in Allegheny County. So we did that in 2000 with Councilman Tasco, and it looks like we may need to do that again.
Moratoriums, 215-227-2727. That's the number to call, 215-227-2727. Gets you into the door of Court Radio. If you've got any legal questions, feel free to give us a call today. We'll tackle them. But if you also have questions for Councilman Green with regards to pending legislation or the autism topic we're talking about, you're welcome to call on those as well. But, you can also call me about your car accident or your slip and fall or whatever else you want to talk about, statute of limitations. You know the things you want to hear about. 215-227-2727. So, Derek, tell us a little bit about this Autism Insurance Act. What is it and what's it going to give us?
Okay, the Autism Insurance Act is actually called Act 62 of 2008. It was introduced by then State Representative Dennis O'Brien. He then became a councilperson. And basically what that Insurance Act does is try to make sure that private insurers provide insurance for people on the autism spectrum. And even with that Insurance Act getting passed in 2008, there's still been an issue in reference to private insurers providing insurance for people on the autism spectrum.
It's shocking that insurance companies don't follow the law. And it's shocking that they look for loopholes in their contracts to take advantage of poor, innocent victims. Shocking. So what have you done to whip them into shape?
Well, you being an attorney, insurance companies also have attorneys on their side. And, insurance companies, really force individuals to make sure that they're getting the coverage that they desire. And it's unfortunate that we've had insurance companies who are denying coverage to people. For my son, Julian, we actually had medical assistance in reference to providing for him with some of the autism benefits he had. But why should the Commonwealth be providing him with medical assistance when both my wife and I have insurance? So that's some of the issues that we're dealing with. There was some recent case that came out in reference to the Supreme Court regarding a specific insurance company. And we'll be looking at that as some additional advocacy against insurance companies in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that operate and say, yes, under the law, you must provide this insurance. And now we have case law that says that's going to direct you to do the right thing.
What it was at the United States Supreme Court?
Pennsylvania Supreme Court.
And what was the insurance company?
I believe it's Independence Blue Cross.
Okay. And so Independence Blue Cross, in this case, were told by the court that you have to provide this coverage.
Right. From my understanding, it was a police officer, and he appealed because he wants his child to have an applied behavioral analysis, which is some of that analysis we talked about for a child who's on the autism spectrum, and his insurance company denied him that coverage. The same thing happened with me and my wife. We tried to get an applied behavioral analysis for Julian. We were also denied. So he appealed. The insurance company fought him, and eventually were able to get a positive ruling by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court.
Very good for him, and very good for a whole lot of other people. And so that brings us, again, back around to this 2008 Act that says you have to provide this coverage.
Right.
So, folks, if you've got an autistic child or somebody who you believe in your family may be on this spectrum and you have private health insurance, your health insurance carrier must provide you with benefits in this diagnosis process, in the process to even determine. Now, once you're diagnosed with autism, is there other benefits that the insurance companies that you look to for, in your case, for Medicare, or Medicaid, are you looking for benefits on a regular basis for Julian? Does he have to engage in certain treatments?
Well, one of the benefits of once you have that diagnosis of a child on the autism spectrum, then working with a developmental pediatrician or others, then you can put together a plan of what's the best for your child. Is it speech therapy? A couple times a week in the occupational therapy, also taking those services and also working with your local school district and education provider to make sure you're getting the same benefits in the school. And that's why it's so important for advocacy. So I tell people, my wife and I often say this, that don't just take no for an answer, because people will say you can't get this. And sometimes that's hard if you are a single parent and you may have 2 or 3 children, you have multiple jobs, but you have to continue to push back and say, I'm going to make sure I get the services my child needs, because they may say no, but you need to make sure they say yes.
Yeah, sounds like a job for grandmom, too, to get involved.
It's a whole family. It's a whole village. I mean, for my son, we have one son, but my father's involved, my mother's involved, other friends in the family all have helped provide a resource, a village of people to help Julian with his care.
Folks, we're going to be right back. We're chatting with Derek Green, councilman at large. We're talking about autism. We're talking about other legislation. And, of course, any legal questions you might have. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
You were just hurt. It's not your fault. You're in physical pain. How do you get better? Who is going to help you recover? West Philadelphia Associates has highly trained doctors and staff that can help you today. Don't wait at a hospital. West Philadelphia Associates will work with your attorney, providing documentation of all injuries and the best plan for treatment to get you back to the life you deserve. With diagnostic studies to better detect injuries, West Philadelphia Associates doctors and staff will help you recover. West Philadelphia Associates, here to help you get better because you deserve it. Call 215-471-4714.
For 20 years, Center City Medical Center has provided premium expert medical services for Philadelphia. Whether you need musculoskeletal rehab or an immigration physical, call 888-945-EXAM. Our board-certified physicians have more than 80 years' experience from post-injury rehab to DNA paternity testing. To make an appointment at one of our 3 convenient locations, call 888-945-EXAM. Get premium expert care. Center City Medical Center, serving Northeast, North, and Center City, Philadelphia. If you've been injured on the job and are entitled to workers' comp, you need someone fighting for you from the start. Call Jeffrey Gross, attorney at law. Don't rely on your employer or insurance company to get it right. Call 215-512-1500. If you're entitled to workers' comp or it's being challenged, Jeffrey Gross can help get the money you deserve, and he won't get paid unless you get paid. Call 215-512-1500. Jeffrey Gross, attorney at law, representing Pennsylvania's injured workers for more than 20 years. You've had an accident and can't work, but your legal case seems like it's taking forever, and the bills are piling up. At ThriveVest.com, we're here to help. If you have a pending lawsuit, call us at 888-697-7352. ThriveVest.com has flexible solutions to get you money now. And if your case doesn't settle or you don't receive an award, you owe us nothing. Call 888-697-7352. ThriveVest.com. Get the money you need to get on with your life.
The following is a paid program brought to you by My Philly Lawyer. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the station and its management.
Need more legal answers? Here's more Court Radio with your host, Dean Weitzman.
Good morning and welcome back. I'm Dean Weitzman, and this is Court Radio. That's right, folks. All you got to do is give us a call at the magic number 215-227-2727. That's the number to call for all your legal needs 24/7 all week long. But on Sunday mornings, as you know, that number magically transfers to Bala Cynwyd's radio studio for Court Radio, and you're here and I'm here. So if you've got questions, and I see all the lines are lit up, every single one, yet I only have one piece of paper. So Monica, you got to pick it up here, girl. Come on. 215-227-2727. I'm joined with Derek Green, councilman at large. We're talking about issues relevant to Philadelphia, especially autism. You gave us a number in the beginning. I just, I want to kind of recap that number. How many kids are diagnosed with autism today?
1 out of every 68.
And it used to be 1 out of every 200.
That was when my son was diagnosed in 2004.
And probably when I was born, it was 1 out of 10,000 or something. I mean, it's like every year more and more kids are diagnosed with this problem.
And from 2005 to 2011, it's been about 116% increase just in the city of Philadelphia of those being diagnosed with autism. As I said earlier, we've been blessed in not only the city but the Commonwealth of having a lot of autism resources. In fact, we have a state bureau of autism that actually did a census of autism throughout the entire Commonwealth, and we have about 4,600 people living on the spectrum in the Philadelphia region.
I know I'm going to ask a question that you're probably not going to be able to answer, but I'm sure people are thinking it. What is causing this increase? I mean, I know it's being diagnosed more because it's being seen more. I mean, you're paying attention to it more. So all those undiagnosed cases are now being diagnosed. But nonetheless, is there something in the air? Is it genetics? What's going on?
Well, autism does not discriminate on a person's ethnicity, economic background, where they're from. I have friends from all different perspectives, all different ethnic groups who have children some who are nonverbal, some who are verbal like my son. And it's really a complex situation. So we have been, me and my wife has done research as well as done fundraising for groups like Autism Speaks and other groups to really try to find out what is and what has caused autism. But we have not been able to find a cure or a specific reason what has caused this increase.
Are people researching this?
Oh, absolutely. There's you have someone like a Jack Welch, who's a former CEO of GE. He has, I believe, a grandchild who's on the autism spectrum, and he's put a lot of resources and funding into Autism Speaks. You have other organizations around, not only around the Commonwealth, around the nation, around the world, who are really trying to figure out how do we address this issue of autism and how did this increase come from?
1 in 68. So almost 2%. Almost 2% of the population. 2%. How is that going to affect us in the coming decades in the workforce? And how are these people going to be cared for when moms and dads are not around to care for them?
And that's a big issue. That's one of the things that my wife and I are concerned about in reference to how do we provide for Julian, creating things like a special needs trust. How do we make sure we have the right support for him? There is a concern because we spend, from some of the research I've seen, about $236 billion on autism throughout the entire nation, providing services to about 3.5 million people. And by 2020, there's a belief that will increase another 20,000 people just in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania on the autism spectrum. And if you think your life is, most of your life is as an adult, not as a young person. And one of the big challenges is that once a person gets over the age of 21, a lot of the services that my son Julian receives are not available. Then you have to get on a waiver list, and there's even less services. So one of the things that we're trying to do, not only working with organizations and initiatives like the Philadelphia Autism Project, is really try to see what's the next step. Because most people, when you think of autism, you think of a young child, you don't think an adult. That's where all of our children will be going in a short time.
Yeah. There's going to be a whole heck of a lot of adults who are not as functioning as normal people, and they're going to need care. And, I don't know. We do a very horrible job as a society in caring for those who need care.
Right.
I mean, I think at some point we thought it was more humane to close psychiatric hospitals and let people go. But in reality, those people are on street corners, panhandling. They're not
incarcerated.
Or incarcerated. Exactly. So instead of having places like psychiatric hospitals where there might be some therapeutic model involved, you have them in a prison where there's no therapeutic model. Don't get me started. We have, as a society, we have a lot to learn and grow from other cultures and other places.
Absolutely. And one of the things, I would say that, people on the autism spectrum just have a learning difference. They may interact with people differently, but they're not so much different than other people. You have some people who are tall, some people are short, some people who are more visual learners, some people who are more oral learners. And so when I look at my son Julian and other people who are on the autism spectrum, I say they have a learning difference. And although this month, April, is Autism Awareness Month, but really I think we're moving forward to making sure it's Autism Acceptance Month, and we're more accepting, like you said, of people who have learning differences like autism.
All right, let's take some callers. They've been patiently waiting. Let's talk to Karen on line 3, Lara, from Mount Airy. Hi, Karen. Welcome to Court Radio. Okay, she's gone. Sorry, Karen. I tried. All right. How about Daryl from Olney on line 4, who has a question about autism? Hi, Daryl. Welcome to Court Radio.
Hey, thank you. How y'all doing today this morning?
You know, I'm Dean. He's Derek. You're Daryl. I mean, there's, you know, the triple D's.
Sound like a rap group, 3D.
No? Okay. Could be something else, too, but we won't go there. All right. It is Sunday morning, and we are across the board on all radios in America right now. So tell me, what's your question or comment?
Yes, my question is, I have a son. He's 7 years old. I had him since he was born out the hospital. His mother had issues with DHS, so I had to take him. And his Social Security is being taken by them. I tried to apply over and over again. They wouldn't give me any information. You know, I even applied for welfare, and they said he already getting it. And actually, they stealing it. I'm going through legal aid right now. They doing investigations. They say they have pictures and stuff like that. They don't see the child with either parent, you know, the grandmother or the mother. And I desperately need the funding, the money, because I'm not working right now. My sister helps me with him, but I'm going, I do little stuff on the street, and I don't know how to go about getting the money except the way I'm doing it, because I need all the help I can get with him.
Well, I'm trying to understand something. Let me just tease this out a bit. Are you telling me that you're the primary legal custodian, that you have an order of the court, or is this just something between the family?
I don't have order of the court. I've been down there a few times, but I couldn't follow up because I do little jobs on the street to survive, and a lot of times I couldn't make the other court date after you sign the papers, and that's where I'm at right now.
Okay, so that's the first problem, is that you need to find the time and to kind of follow through that, so that at some point there's a court order awarding you primary physical and legal custody of your son. Once that happens, all those other issues, the financial issues, will fall into place, because how could they give the money for your support for your son to anybody but the primary physical custodial parent? And so I think you have to get that order, because otherwise somebody's taking advantage of the situation by, you know, taking his benefits and not really being responsible for him. So if you're the one who's responsible, and if you're showing the court and the court agrees and you're now the official responsible party, then the funds will come to you.
Okay. They don't see him or anything else.
I get it, but you got to get that piece of paper from the court showing that you're the custodial parent.
Okay.
All right? And then once that happens, the rest of it's easy. All right.
Okay.
Take care. Thanks for calling Court Radio.
Thank you.
215-227-2727. Let's talk to D from Mount Airy. My goodness, everybody's in Mount Airy today. D and another D. D.
Mount Airy is a great place.
Yeah. How are you,
Good
D?
morning.
Welcome to Court Radio.
Good morning. I'm calling because I have a daughter who has Asperger's syndrome. She was diagnosed in 1997. And during that time, I primarily was her wraparound and everything else. So now she's graduated, honor roll. She's working part-time at the zoo. But my concern now that she is older, and I didn't take advantage of her having counsel and therapy, because once she was diagnosed, I was told by her neurologist that she just needed proper education and training And with the help of family and friends, we taught her well.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Now that she's older and I'm older, I want to make sure that she's okay in the event that something happens to me. So is it too late for me to try to get her any other further help, or?
Well, a lot of, I think that's probably a medical question, if further therapies would be beneficial to her. But I think, you know.
Actually, she didn't need any therapy or medication. She just had proper education and training.
Well, training can be considered a form of therapy. I don't mean like laying down on the couch and, you know, talking about your mom's childhood problems, but what you know, Derek talked about a special needs trust, and I would say that, you know, that kind of generational planning is what you need to do for your daughter to make sure that she has what she needs financially, a house, whatever it is. You know, you want to make sure that that's in a trust, that nobody can get at it, that there's a trustee that will administer the trust. Those kinds of things are very important, more important for people like yourself who have a special needs child.
Right. I missed that part of the conversation about the trust.
Well, it was very quick, and he kind of mumbled through it. So, you know, no, I'm only kidding. He's very articulate. He was talking about his fears for his son, and really what he and his wife need to do is to create a special needs trust. That's where your property folds into a trust fund that is then administered in a variety of ways, but it could be based on need. It could be based on a certain monthly budget. There's many different ways to skin that cat. You gotta create that trust and have a trustee, and that's a legal document. You go to a lawyer to create this document so that your child is cared for after your passing.
Okay. Is that something that you do?
Our firm does special needs trusts and complex estate planning, and all you have to do is give us a call during the week at 215-227-2727, and you ask for Saul.
Okay.
But Derek wants to jump in.
Yeah, one of the benefits of having a special needs trust is that you want to provide those assets that Dean was talking about for your child. But if they're in the child's name, if you give them directly to the child, they may not be able to qualify for other benefits because of certain income guidelines. So by having a special needs trust, you're putting it into a separate entity that's separate and apart than your child. So that way she can actually receive additional benefits and services going forward. But if she actually receives them personally, it may impact her ability to receive those benefits.
Okay.
It's a legal fiction. To an extent, the money goes into a trust. It's in the name of the trust, not in the name of your daughter, though she receives the benefit of those funds under prescribed, in prescribed times or ways or methods. So nobody else is getting that money. It's going to her benefit, but it's not legally in her name. So she can continue to get the Medicare and Medicaid benefits that she's entitled to.
Okay, because at this point she doesn't get any of that. She's all under me.
But even when she's older, let's say she's getting to be Social Security age, if those
funds, 24 now.
Say it again.
She's 24 now.
Right, and I'm saying future. She's on Social Security. Okay, we all get there eventually, and you've left her enough money that will affect her benefits at that time. Well, now you can put this into a trust. It's twofold. One, she may not be responsible enough to handle it, but two, you don't want those funds to be in her name, which would deprive her of any benefits she might be entitled to.
Okay.
Give us a call when you're ready. Give us a call when you're ready, and have a great Sunday.
Will.
Thanks, Dee. Take care.
You.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We unfortunately are almost out of time, but we have a 2-minute break for our sponsors. We'll be right back with a wrap-up with Derek Green, Councilman at Large.
You were just hurt. It's not your fault. You're in physical pain. How do you get better? Who is going to help you recover? West Philadelphia Associates has highly trained doctors and staff that can help you today. Don't wait at a hospital. West Philadelphia Associates will work with your attorney, providing documentation of all injuries and the best plan for treatment to get you back to the life you deserve. With diagnostic studies to better detect injuries, West Philadelphia Associates doctors and staff will help you recover. West Philadelphia Associates, here to help you get better because you deserve it. Call 215-471-4714.
For 20 years, Center City Medical Center has provided premium expert medical services for Philadelphia. Whether you need musculoskeletal rehab or an immigration physical, call 888-945-EXAM. Our board-certified physicians have more than 80 years' experience from post-injury rehab to DNA paternity testing. To make an appointment at one of our 3 convenient locations, call 888-945-EXAM. Get premium expert care. Center City Medical Center, serving Northeast, North, and Center City, Philadelphia. If you've been injured on the job and are entitled to workers' comp, you need someone fighting for you from the start. Call Jeffrey Gross, attorney at law. Don't rely on your employer or insurance company to get it right. Call 215-512-1500. If you're entitled to workers' comp or it's being challenged, Jeffrey Gross can help get the money you deserve, and he won't get paid unless you get paid. Call 215-512-1500. Jeffrey Gross, attorney at law, representing Pennsylvania's injured workers for more than 20 years. You've had an accident and can't work, but your legal case seems like it's taking forever, and the bills are piling up. At ThriveVest.com, we're here to help. If you have a pending lawsuit, call us at 888-697-7352. ThriveVest.com has flexible solutions to get you money now. And if your case doesn't settle or you don't receive an award, you owe us nothing. Call 888-697-7352. ThriveVest.com. Get the money you need to get on with your life.
The following is a paid program brought to you by My Philly Lawyer. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the station and its management.
Need more legal answers? Here's more Court Radio with your host, Dean Weitzman.
Good morning and welcome back. I'm Dean Weitzman, and this is Court Radio, and it is April the 17th, and will be a beautiful day outside for you to enjoy a beautiful spring day in Philadelphia. But right now, we're finishing up Court Radio. If you've got legal questions, comments, or issues, all you got to do is give us a call at 215-227-2727. And if you can't get us between now and 8 o'clock, then you can always give us a call at that number all week long at My Philly Lawyer. If you've got legal issues, that's the place to go. 215-227-2727. My Philly Lawyer is the main sponsor for Court Radio and employs me as well. So, we're joined with Derek Green, councilman at large, and we've been talking primarily about autism and how it's affected him, his family, with Julian's diagnosis and benefits and insurance acts. But I'm going to move off to a completely different topic. Completely different topic. How do you feel about the sugar tax?
Well, the soda tax, or the sugar sweetened beverage tax, or some people call it the grocery tax, is a debate. This is the third time it's come up in council. The last 2 times were under Mayor Nutter. Now Mayor Kenny is proposing the soda tax, the sugar sweetened beverage tax, and he proposes to use those dollars in a way different than the past proposals to really provide some opportunities for people in the city of Philadelphia through pre-K, community schools, making major capital investments in our parks, recreation centers, and libraries. As I talked about earlier, by going to various neighborhoods around the city of Philadelphia, I've heard those supporting and also those opposing the sugar sweetened beverage tax or the soda tax. We just had hearings this past Tuesday at Concilio in Councilwoman Maria Quiñones Sanchez's district, and we had a very good conversation and discussion with those who will be impacted, and those who are both for and against the soda tax.
Is primarily those against it those who sell it?
Not just those that sell it. I mean, although you have small grocers who may be impacted, small business owners. You also have the bottling companies who will be impacted. You also have organizations like the Teamsters whose members drive and provide deliveries. But you also have people in the city of Philadelphia who are low to moderate income who are concerned about the impact that this type of tax will provide to them. But then you also have other advocates who are very supportive of the soda tax because they say we need to have more quality pre-K in the city of Philadelphia to try to get our children on the right track. This proposal will try to increase thousands of new slots for pre-K, as well as making major investments in our parks, recreation centers, and libraries. Having worked for Councilwoman Tasco in my previous career before getting elected as an at-large city councilperson, I know that a number of our recreation centers have not had major capital investments in a number of years. We may make an investment here, an investment there, but the major upgrades that we need in our rec centers, libraries,
How much
and
money?
parks.
How much money is going to flow? I mean, did you have a sense? Is it a $10 million a year?
Well, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hundreds of millions.
Right, in reference to the whole scope of the program. And there's other initiatives. Council President Clark is talking about trying to create thousands of jobs through an energy initiative, and part of the funds from the soda tax will actually go to that as well.
When's it going to happen?
Well, it all comes down to a vote in City Council. And so as we're going through the budget process, we'll continue to hear issues and concerns from the public at large. We'll also have opportunity for public testimony, just like we did on Tuesday, where constituents both for and against can come to City Council and express their issues and concerns regarding the soda tax, as well as other issues as we deliberate on the budget.
Will it come up for a vote this year?
I believe that will probably occur, but I can't. I'm just one of 18 elected officials in City Hall. You have a mayor and
you got
16
more
other council
votes
members.
last primary than anybody else. Come on, you're not just one of 18. You're a power to be reckoned with. Stop.
I'm just one individual. Just one individual. And working with our colleagues, we'll continue to have the conversation regarding the soda tax, as well as working with Mayor Kenny, who's also a former member of council.
Have you decided at this point how you'd vote if it came up for a vote?
Well, we're still having all the information. So I'm still wanting to get more perspective from people in the community, for those who support and those who oppose, and then we'll make a decision as a body.
To me, funneling money from certain kinds of behaviors into things that benefit society is a good thing. Don't snatch that money and get, put it into something that isn't going to benefit the people you're snatching it from. But if you snatch it from them and then you give it back to them in good services, I think that's a good thing. There's countries like Portugal who legalized all drugs, everything. You can get anything you want. You want to go get some smack? Go ahead. You can get it. But they take every dollar every tax dollar that they get out of that and put it into rehabilitation. And so they have the finest rehabs in the world, and their prison population went down, and that makes sense to me. So if you take this money from the soda tax and you put it into kids and projects for kids, that's a cool thing. Anyway, our time's up. I'm getting the signal. Shut up, Dean. Derek, it was a pleasure to spend an hour with you today. I invite you back anytime you want.
Thank you. And Dean, thank you for the opportunity to talk with you and your listeners. If people want to reach me, they can call our office. I'm in City Hall, room 594. The phone number is 215-686-3450. That's 215-686-3450. 3450. I'm also on Facebook as well as Twitter at Councilman Derek. So please feel free to reach out to me if you have issues regarding autism or any of the other issues we have here in the city of Philadelphia, which is, to me, the best city in not only the state but the nation. And we're doing a lot of great things in the city, and we'll continue to be the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection as we move forward.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place.